while Nvidia might be the only game in town for a lot of these high-end chips, that might not necessarily be the case long term. Explain.
Well, I think the issue with Nvidia, it's a good company, but it can't keep growing forever. I mean, if anything, this is an underperform rating. If they've had this incredible run, they make good products, but that's all priced in, right? They've said they're sold out for the year. And once you're sold out, what possible upside is left, right? I think if you look at all the things that can go right, sort of drive further upside, it's a pretty short list. And the number of things that can go wrong is a large and growing list. So they're doing well, but I just think they've gotten so big, I don't see much room for upside this year.
Sounds like, Jay, that it's priced in. All of the good news is priced in, but take us to your negative catalyst list. You say it's a long list of things that could go wrong. What's at the top?
Well, I think there's a lot of little hiccups that are possible in the supply chain. The numbers this year are very much dependent on the ramp of their new product, Blackwell. Blackwell's a great product. It's going to have a big ramp. They're going to have a good quarter, but it's been very painful to get it out. There's lots of growing pains in terms of customer adoption, customer configuration, lots of little pain points throughout the supply chain. And they've worked through most of those, but we still have some ways to go. I think the other big function here is the fact that for the last 2 or 3 years, Nvidia has been selling more than they could make. Right? Supply has not been able to keep up with demand. And by the end of this year, all those issues get worked out. The supply is constrained. And what we've seen historically in semiconductors is when you have that change in equilibrium, when demand catches or supply starts to exceed demand, there's always a rocky road and a rocky transition. And I just think, semiconductors are cyclical, and Nvidia's run can't go on forever.
So what do you kind of model in terms of revenue growth? I mean, we had this phenomenal period in last year and at the beginning of the last fiscal year, something like 4 or 5 quarters of triple-digit revenue growth. The last few quarters after that have been kind of 70, 80, 90%. Are we talking about a downshift to what, like 50, 60%, or something significantly lower than that?
I think what will happen is at some point they'll miss a quarter and we'll have to reset numbers. I think that's the most likely scenario, right? Where there's just too much demand, too much supply, more than they can sell. If you look back a year ago, if you're a customer buying Nvidia products and maybe you're taking too long to roll them out, and so you had some excess product, normally you would just tell your vendor, okay, hold off, I don't want to take this quarter's allocation. But if you did that a year ago, there would be a line out the door of other customers who would take your product. That line has basically gone away. And I think there's just sort of, there's lots of constraints beyond NVIDIA's control, things like access to power that are sort of slowing down or constraining the data center build out.
Right.
And I just think that's likely to impact numbers at some point.
Also outside of their control is what happens with trade policy, though we know NVIDIA's CEO is on his way to China, heading there next week. Jay, we have just about 30 seconds left with you, but talk to us about the price target, $100. Shares were closer to 106 when you issued that price target. They're in the 160s now. Have you thought about bumping it higher?
Well, we'll see what this quarter looks like. Like I said, I think it's going to be some pretty big numbers. I think that does slow down later this year. I'll revisit my price target as it comes along, but I will say the whole sector has run, and there are other names that I prefer, things like Broadcom, which have actually outperformed NVIDIA since I rolled out on both of them. I have a buy on Broadcom. So I'll take a look at it, but I think we're sic transit gloria, all glory fades, all good things come to an end at some point.